Hi, my name is Martin Taylor, and today I'll be telling you about how I live my life with dyslexia and, how I got through it all. Anyway, it wasn't really that much of a sad-looking journey for me because I adapted to what I felt was happening to me. I adapted to it in some ways which a lot of people couldn't understand, but maybe in this time there will be more to understand children with learning difficulties. The sound of the chalk on the blackboard, oh gosh, I couldn't sit there. So most of the time I would either end up disrupting the class. It was just because I was finding it so difficult to feel at ease and concentrate and do what you wanted me to do. So, sometimes I would just leave the class. Sometimes I would be disciplined to go and stand outside the class or go and get the slipper. I guess I had the most slipper in that school. Miss Martin, God bless her soul, but wow, you really did something with that size 12, I was getting it nearly every day. But anyhow, sometimes what I would do if I couldn't, take it anymore in the classroom, and I was only young and just coming from Jamaica a few years ago, and climbing, I love climbing, I used to end up on tops of roofs and things like that, and people would be shocked. That little kid up there, how did he get up there? But I was sure of what I was doing because I knew how to climb, and it was an escape for me to climb on top of the school or on top of the flats nearby or the cinema or whatever, and just sit there sometimes. People go shouting and say, "Hey, get down off there, oh, you get down," and all this, but I was cool. I was clever how to, do something creative. So discipline for me was like, wow, the best time in a sense, really, because I could be alone, and being alone where there's no, bad people around you who's going to laugh at you because you can't spell certain things or you can't say what that word is or whatever, In school days, it really hurts, and then people would start calling me, "You're mad. You're mad," even if it was at home. "Martin, you're mad." Or if it was school, "You're mad, you're crazy." So I started to feel as if I'm mad and crazy. And I used to go to the mirror and ask, "Dear God, please help me. I'm not crazy. What can I do?" And it wasn't until I was about 12 years old, I think it was, I found the answer. And I said to the mirror, when I was talking and asking God, "Please, dear God," I used to look in the mirror and pray, and, "Dear God, please, can you tell me how I can cope with everybody telling me I'm crazy, I'm mad?" And it came to my tongue and said, "At least I can live with it." And that made me smile. So living with my madness, what they call madness, it was just a hyperactive, creative ability that I had. I could do anything. And secondary school, that was another thing that was so hard, because it was very rough area we grew up in, People were out to get their reputations and stuff like that. So you had to be quite hard to survive, and even help others to survive. I was that kind of kid. But anyhow, I used to be getting praises and awards or whatever, certificates for certain things, and then the next day in the assembly I'll be getting the cane and getting disciplined for something else. For instance, I had a certificate for having saved the most money in the school bank. Yeah, I was about 12, 13. I had saved up, I think it was £96, and this is back in, say, 1970, 72, 73. And you know, I was being awarded for having the most money in the school bank, being awarded for breaking the school record, triple jump record, and so forth, and all the records I ended up breaking through my school years. But I'd be awarded one day, and then the next day I'd be getting the cane. Or yeah, it was the cane. We used to get 6 of the best in the assembly, you know, in front of the whole school, 1,500 boys, and it's me again. I know sometimes in the classroom it was very difficult, especially with a lot of kids growing up the same as me. We all had like difficulties kind of understanding the technique that they were trying to teach us. The only time you heard people talk or the teachers talk, they'd be shouting. So, you know, that's how you're going to learn from someone who's shouting, you know. It's right down to the basic. So anyway, sometimes the teacher would even embarrass you. And one time a teacher did embarrass me. I don't know what came over me, but that anger and went and sat on the building site, went right down into the depth. I think I can tell you that building site was the Lambeth. They were building the Lambeth. It's like a police headquarters, somewhere just down near Black Prince Road, Kennington. Yeah, near the Archbishop's Park, yeah. Anyway, that's a little bit of the stories that I have, and I can go into them in more detail because I found growing up I would always have stories, and I had a good memory, and I remembered the detail of the day, you know, so I can always recall back to that day. You know, each day has something detail about it that can stand out, so I would always remember those things. It's like I can remember from primary school days, things at home, things at school. I remember one day I was 7 years old, and this was the scariest thing that ever happened to me in school. You know, I wasn't stupid, I was a very clever kid, but when it came down to doing what all the other kids did, like reading and spelling and stuff, oh, I couldn't do it. Some words would just, you'd be looking at it and then it's disappeared, it's gone up there. Or it's, you could never keep the lines, you always skipping on your lines, and then it takes over something in your brain, you're thinking, you're stuck on that word or whatever you're thinking, and then, you know, someone's breathing over you, sort of like the whole class is looking and you're trying to read Mice and Men. Lenny and George, I think it was. I mean, they could just, someone could have just read that story to me and I would have understood it. You know, they should have done that. The children with difficulties, they should have easily been able to identify it and then, you know, find that it's better for these kids if you read it to them, you know, and they listen to it, they would understand it more than them trying to read it. They never get past page 1. You know, sometimes the embarrassment or the feeling of loneliness just makes you sort of like withdrawn and carrying this big anger cloud. So when it came to reputation, I had reputation in the school as a tough guy. I'm not saying I wanted to be a tough guy, but it's just how the moods when something happens, you'd just be aggressive, you know. At the age of 15, I think it was, I didn't like fighting. I didn't actually fight. I used to just defend and, you know, stand up for what I believed in. And I had serious morals. I was coming from a strict Jamaican upbringing family, you know. So, you know, the moral side of things and disrespect and respect and those kind of things really, you know, it triggered the thing off if someone overstepped the mark and, you know, you're gonna get aggressive. Sometimes in that mood I would be so aggressive. Sometimes in that mood too I would have a little bit of fun, but it's an aggressive fun. With, I would tell all my class and curse them and say, come on, all of you outside, and I would go outside. At that time I was like, well into sort of like stuff that Bruce Lee was doing, and I would be kicking my classmates here, some of them really trying to get me, but no, I was the man. I'd kick them all out, all, just like Bruce Lee did it. That's the way I used to do it. So you get guys looking, tough guys, or whoever they may be, looking through their classroom windows, because I did it right in the middle of the school. And, you know, they'd be seeing these guys. So I got some good respect from guys who were older than me, you know, because they wouldn't have wanted to fancy their chances. You know, you had other guys who were sort of like loudmouths, and they would always get together and fight, you know. But when it came to me, no, it was respect, because that's all I needed, and that's what I gave. I don't like following. I never have been a follower. The only person I follow is my brothers. You know, I'm not a follower. So anyhow, we get back to talking pretty soon. It's me, Martin Taylor.